Holy, have you seen this man in your dreams, Batman? Tiki here, and I have watched through Batman, the animated series, for the first time. And now, oh my god, I'm on to Justice League. We're on season 2, baby. Dragon, tell us why we're here.
Well, you see, folks, long ago I made a vow to educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series, serving as his spirit guide to Gotham in a way. But now, Batman's become part of a bigger universe, and the mission goes on as we enter the greater DCAU.
And Dragon, pinch me because it's only a dream.
Yes.
All right, and Dragon, this was a very surprising episode for me. I will admit, I think plot-wise it's a little all over the place, especially in part 1. I am not a big fan of the whole there's a prison break that just happens to be occurring as John D needs to do this thing. We have Atomic Beast in the comments. He says the DCAU equals the first DCEU.
And the better.
And probably the best DC extended universe also. Okay, so Dragon, I like this a lot. I really like part 2. I really like all the dream shenanigans. You know me, that's kind of my thing. I will say it was very fun to see John D, aka Dr. Destiny, in the mix. You know me, I'm a Sandman guy. This guy was a very early villain in Sandman. I believe he was in at least, the first Dragon. I want to say he was in the first run of Sandman because he was collected the collections, the bound volumes of Sandman. I want to say he was in the first book.
I want to say it was the first or second, but I'm pretty sure. Here's the thing, because here's what I did recently. Last year, I haven't gotten to the second one of these yet, but I really got a kick out of the audio play version of Sandman, and the first audio play version. I don't know if they sporadically maybe pulled from the second volume of the comic of the book, but however they did it, they adapted the John D story really well in an audio form. So that's in part 1. So it's early on. You're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I like it a lot. Like I said, Dragon, part 1 isn't my favorite. I just think there's a little bit too much going on. I don't really think having all those villains was necessary. I mean, it's the Justice League. I get that there's going to be a lot of villain crossover. I didn't know, it was a lot to keep up with. I feel like that's kind of like a running theme with Justice League, kind of, is a little bit too over reliant on these villain team ups. I feel like that was kind of a problem in the last episode too for me. I don't know.
Yeah, well, two things. I mean, one, yeah, there's an action mandate, so that's why that's in part 1. Let's be honest, but
sure.
That's kind of like it's kind of like a not a hard network note, but it's like, come on, we got to get some action in there. So it's like, yeah, okay, well, we got to get the second one's gonna be more psychological than it is action based, so we got to definitely front run that. So all the good stuff's in part 2. And speaking of that, honestly, this has always been a pattern since honestly Batman the Animated Series, but this is always kind of the standard fare for Justice League, where, with very few exceptions, mainly through Batman the Animated Series, part 2 is usually, that's the big payoff. All the good stuff's usually in part 2. That's why whenever you have a commentary on these DVD sets, they always put on part 2. Because you get an ending.
That makes sense, yeah.
That's always kind of the way that happens. But with Justice League, they're intending these stories to be basically, they want to do an hour-long story, but they have to break it up into 2. But again, hence the reason we're covering these all in one shot. So that's kind of how that is, and you build to the denouement and all the cool stuff. So part 2, that's kind of the pattern it's probably going to be in all of these, Tiki. So
for sure. Okay, we have that guy. He says, I like the creepy smiley blue hood guy.
Yes, Dr. Destiny, that guy. Yes.
Indeed. He has a very Spawn-like look to him, I think.
Really? Spawn?
Yeah, kind of with the kind of the skull motif. I don't know.
Well, my go-to is a Skeletor, based on the whole blue kind of get up and everything.
Skeletor, yeah, that too, for sure.
The fact that he's minus a face, but
a much more scary Skeletor.
Sure.
All right.
Okay, so let me give you the breakdown in terms of our context on this one. So, this was directed by Butch Lukic, who did Injustice for All and Twilight Part 2, in terms of some of the stuff we've covered recently, which he did a great job with. This was written by the great Stan Berkowitz, who, of course, had done episodes like Never Fear from the new Batman Adventures and Injustice for All. Of course, I like when Stan Berkowitz writes. That guy's great because, again, Never Fear, definitely you can see some DNA of a guy who knows how to write people's fears and do kind of cool twists on them really well.
Uh-huh.
The studio that worked on this was Dr. Movie.
Ooh, a
Okay.
different studio, a new studio alert. Okay.
Now, you've only heard this name one other time, Tiki. Let me tell you where. So, the Mystery of the Batwoman movie crew did this. So, here's the thing. So, they kind of broke their maiden on Mystery of the Batwoman. And then, honestly, this was, I forget if we're going to see him anymore in season 2 of Justice League, but essentially what happens is Dr. Movie becomes the regular, almost the regular, if not like kind of their standout studio. Dr. Movie gets better and better as it goes on, man. Dr. Movie does the Justice League Unlimited stuff, including the finale, including like a lot of the stuff leading up to the end. So Dr. Movie, they really got great as they went on the JLU. This is good already. And this is really cinematic in terms of how this episode's animated, I think.
Nice.
All right, so long story short, so Dr. Destiny was, in the very beginning of comics, he was like a low-level JLA villain from the 60s. He's very forgettable. But then Neil Gaiman reinvented him, much like the Sandman character was reinvented by him as well, where basically he gave him this terrifying, kind of dream manipulation ability that obviously Dream, the Sandman character, is not too happy about, and we see this wonderfully in the 24-hour diner story, which is just memorable and frightening. You remember the 24-hour diner?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Dear God.
I would say that's
Scary.
probably like my favorite Sandman arc that I have read and remember. It's been a long time since I've read Sandman.
If it ever leaks on YouTube, you should really check out that. I'd say go buy it too. I don't know where your standing with Audible and stuff is. I don't know if you can get access to that without having the account or not. But that Sandman adaptation, Tika, I highly recommend it.
What do you mean the adaptation?
Yeah, I told you they have like an audio drama version of the Sandman comics with James McAvoy as the Sandman. They have like the star-studded cast. Like Taron Egerton plays John Constantine. It's great.
Taron Egerton, interesting.
Yeah,
Atomic Beast says, is Dr. Destiny like Psycho Pirate and Scarecrow?
Well, Atomic Beast, that is a very apt description. It's very much kind of like Psycho Pirate and Scarecrow, yeah, because Psycho Pirate, basically, he manipulates people's emotions, and Scarecrow's very fear-based, so it's kind of, yeah, it's basically a guy who can get into your mind. He can psychically manipulate you, so that's a good comparison, I'd say.
Cool.
All right, so let's see. So basically, here's the interesting thing. This with the DCAU of it all. So there has actually been talk of adapting Dr. Destiny for the new Batman Adventures. Even they were thinking about putting him in that show. And Paul Dini, we know this from his wonderful autobiography graphic novel, Dark Knight, a True Batman Story. He pitched a Sandman crossover for Batman the Animated Series back in those days. And that kind of got respectfully shot down. So he's always been angling to get some Neil Gaiman Sandman in the DCAU. And I assume he would be the guy to pitch, let's do Dr. Destiny. Let's put him in the new Batman Adventures. Then we got
totally.
Not yet, Paul. Not yet. So, and the main reason being Dr. Destiny in the Sandman comic, he's
like Muster and Clements wanting to do Treasure Planet.
Yeah, not yet. So, Dr. Destiny, in the Sandman book, he had ties to Arkham Asylum, and again, also Batman the Animated Series. One of some of their dream episodes are the best. Whether it be Batman hallucinating, dreams in darkness, or of course, perchance the dream. So again, serendipity of a deep we need a deep Justice League pool, which is very much like I remember when they do Justice League the Animated Series, they're really angling for villains because we can't just rehash all the Batman Superman villains again. And for reasons we'll get into later, Tiki, there was a big roadblock for getting it. There's a reason there aren't a lot of Batman villains in Justice League, and it's a really stupid reason, but we'll get there.
I mean, that being said, it feels like they're really building Lex, though. I really like what they're doing with Lex. He's been on an arc.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like when they use Superman villains, Lex is the main guy they used, and my God, did they give him like an arc? He has a great arc in the DC universe as a whole from Justice League. You're gonna love what they do with Lex, Tiki. I think so. So yeah, that's about it.
All right, with that in mind, let's just dive right into it, Dragon.
Okay, so part one, we start with this no-name prisoner, John D, who's basically taken out the entire Justice League with this machine. Also, to mention this no-name John D, voiced by Bill Atherton, William Atherton, who of course very well known for playing Walter Peck and the annoying reporter from Die Hard.
Nice,
So,
nice.
I gotta tell you, he's so. I forgot how good he was as Doc. I forgot that he did the voice of Dr. Destiny, and revisiting it, like, oh my god, he's so good. Who knew Atherton could go this deep, man? He's awesome.
So, I mean, right off the bat, the visuals are really striking. You know, just this. What I love about Dr. D is that he's just, at the end of the day, he's an average guy, you know, like looks wise. Dragon, do you know who my dream casting was for Dr. D?
You mean Dr. Destiny?
Yeah.
Oh, who?
I've had him as a casting for a couple other comic book villains.
I got nothing. What do you got?
Michael Emerson.
Ooh.
Yeah, right?
That's not bad. That
right?
Especially
right.
seeing but again, I haven't been able to see season 2. Thanks, Paramount. But season 1, Evil. Emerson and Evil absolutely could be Dr. Destiny. I could buy it.
Of course, he's been my pick for Riddler for a long time, but alas, like Paul Dano is wonderful, and I'm stoked for his version of Riddler, so I'm not complaining there. So I still want to see Emerson play a Batman villain, though.
Tiki, I've already gotten my wish. He played the Joker in Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, no, you're right. That was I'm just saying live action, but yeah, that was really good, though.
Right.
Are you insane?
Are you out of your mind?
Out of your mind. That's the line. Yeah.
Okay, so point being, we have John D taking out the entire Justice League single-handedly with just kind of this almost Seto Kaiba looking machine.
Yeah, it's like almost like kind of like Cthulhu sort of Kraken-esque.
Yeah, it looks a little kind of Kraken meets some of the apocalyptic tanks you were marveling at last episode. It looks kind of like a little bit like that. Anyway, so
and then I love this this very cheesy Lex who's just like, John D, you've done what none of us could ever do. Or no, I'm sorry, he's like, he doesn't even know his name yet. He's like, what is your name, sir? Then it's like, you know, very action movie pose, like, you know, like with his, you know, kind of like stepping on Superman and the rest of the Justice League.
Yep.
D. John D.
So, and of course, now not only is Lex here,
dramatic lightning strike. Then I love that the Joker's even impressed.
Yeah, so by the way, Tiki, Joker only appears 3 times in basically in the outside of, you know, a certain Batman Beyond movie. He appears total of 3 times in Justice League, period. So this is the second time.
Okay.
So anyway, so I like the fact that the Joker's here, and basically what they're doing here is, in case you didn't pick up on it, is like we're reusing. It's almost like kind of a model reuse. Well, we need villains here, so let's just use the Injustice Gang, which includes pretty much all of these characters, and half of them are going to be in the episode later anyway, so we might as well get our money's worth. So like they're there. Anyways, the Joker is like suggests spicing the name up, like John D. No, that won't make this Dr. Destructor, you know, something like that. So anyway, we basically all of this we reveal is a dream of basically a guy with definite dreams of power and control and delusions of grandeur, one might say. So John here, he's got a date with Destiny and a parole hearing as he eyes the key to all this, the material Epicon. I'm going to butcher it, but essentially the ESP machine, just to keep it simple. The ESP machine.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of which, just to get all the John D stuff out of the way real quick. So what we reveal is there's a scientist at Strikers, which is where all the Superman and pretty much all the Justice League villains go, at Strikers. And they're testing it on prisoners because prisoners are desperate and they not really in a position to say no all that often. So let's test this on prisoners. This extrasensory perception device to basically kind of help the human mind evolve and gain ESP abilities. And of course, to me, Tiki, the irony, Walter Peck, is kind of using kind of a big another icon of Ghostbusters with we give him the ESP card test. That has to be a Ghostbusters reference. What do you see? House, cow, tree. It's like, it's the Venkman test. It's just so ironic. It's cute. All right, so John D, you feel for him just for a moment. His parole was denied, and his wife has moved on.
No, and you know what, Dragon? I will give the episode this. They, with part one, I did like my issues with part one are definitely not with the John D stuff. It's more so with the whole like, fighty fight. Like,
I
oh, we
agree
got a
with you. There's a
villain.
lot of
We
fighty
got all
fight.
these villains that we need to fight. As a distraction. The John D stuff is really good, and I like that we spend a lot of time getting to know this guy. It's almost half the episode of just his backstory.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, just Tiki, just the way we frame this, and yes, a lot of mandated fighty. But again, to be fair though, good fighty, but a little too much. But it was good.
Yeah.
Regardless, you're right, and I do love how we structure and that we tee up like this perfect origin story and like
Hey, Dragon, I hate to say it, but you're sounding like really robotic.
But really?
Yeah. Folks in the comments, do you hear that from Dragon? I just curious.
All right. Okay. Let me try. Okay. Well, first off, let me try to make this point. You folks tell me if there's something going on in the audio.
Okay.
All right.
Tom Beast, if you're there, let us know if there's anything wrong with his audio.
I said, well, Tom Beast says whoever is running the legal system here must be pretty smart to know the D's act is crap. So that is pretty refreshing when you think about it. It's like, yeah,
that's true. That's true.
All right, and I think D might be a sociopath. You think? Yes, no, absolutely a sociopath. But again, I like that you kind of pulled the wool over your eyes there, because again, he's in there not for a psychotic reason, but we definitely see the sociopathic tendencies in that earlier nightmare, in the earlier dream sequence. Oh, it says I'm fine. I think it's just your whole setup tonight. I think that's it.
Okay, Tom McBeast, let us know. I'm still paranoid about it, but if you say he's fine, then I believe you. Anyways.
All right. So again, if anything changes, let us know, buddy. Thanks. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so John D. But you're right. I'm saying to you that we have that terrifying payoff at the end of part one, where you just hear like all the pieces are just set to be at his mercy, and I love it so much. But I'm jumping ahead. Point being,
yeah.
John D.
I'm just saying the riot is convenient, Dragon. That's all I'm saying. It's a nitpick more than anything.
Right. So John D, there's a prison escape going on that's going to take up the majority of the episode. And he takes advantage of the distraction to use the ESP machine, and he overdoses on it, which gives him new psionic.
Well, importantly, he also knocks out the poor doctor too.
And I like that I'd like to think he developed a genuine, because I like between him, the doctor, and the guard, he was like a model prisoner.
Totally.
Which again lulled you into that false sense of security of like, this guy seems like you're kind of rooting for him until
I like that the doctor was like, "What are you doing here?" And Dee's like, "Well, I think they're going to take hostages, so we got to protect you."
Which again, I like that he abused the trust there, which is right, like if you're a desperate prisoner, of course you're going to do that. All right. So meanwhile,
he fires up the machine in the middle of the riot, the very conveniently timed riot.
Yep. So just the layout, just the cliff notes of the ride, and again the Batman of it all here. So Batman reports in that there is, that Grundy, Copperhead, Luminous, Volcana, and Firefly are orchestrating a breakout at Strikers. We have a cute little setup here, a little foreshadow that the Martian Manhunter was taking a nap. He wasn't doing big mind stuff; he was just taking a nap.
And also, Dragon, I did see the other big Martian Manhunter episode you pointed me to, and it was great. I loved it. Yeah.
See, seriously, this episode, but I revisit this episode. There's a moment we're going to get to, maybe genuinely well up at how beautiful the Martian Manhunter is.
Hey, do you want to tell them about that Martian Manhunter episode, Dragon?
Yeah, so
the folks, big moment. Just tell them about the moment.
You mean from this episode or from the Night of Shadows?
No, from the last episode where the Lost in the Woods scene.
Right. Yes. That whole episode for me, it was like when you saw his family ripped away from Myria. Where is Myria?
Oh, wait, that might not have been the episode. I think I'm talking about the episode that was in between this one and the last one we talked about.
Oh, you mean Tabula? Do you mean Tabula Rosa?
Tabula Rosa, yeah.
All right. Well, okay. I thought you meant you also got a Night of Shadows.
No, I'm sorry, Dragon. I should get around to that. I will. But
okay. Well, you tell me what you really liked about the.
Well, with Tabula Rosa, I really liked his the character development with him as far as him getting super overwhelmed, almost like Bruce Almighty style when they're all praying to him, of just oh my God, human beings can be so selfish. Jesus.
Oh, right. I know exactly what you're talking about now. Yes.
And then tell him about the payoff to that.
Well, yeah, just he basically kind of he had to go into the woods and kind of find like a moment of quiet to be within himself, right?
Yeah, but specifically finding the little girl.
Oh yes, the lost girl,
Mhm.
right? Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah, that was great.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
As I
Anyway,
said,
so
just Carl
that
Lumbly.
that just kind of like that little note just kind of makes all the all the John stuff this episode a little bit more poignant for sure.
And that's the thing. I just with that Night of Shadows, like keeps like threading the whole Batman friendship needle, which this episode does as well, which I really liked.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's see,
So
Volcana.
yeah, a lot of prisoners broken out, Dragon.
Yeah, so it's
A
one
lot of
one.
C grade, C tier villains.
Now
A lot
speaking
of
of
C
those,
tier villains.
now speaking to those C tier villains, the Batman it all comes into play here. So
I would say
Volcana.
a couple of them, like Luminous and Volcan, are maybe D tier.
Okay, so do you remember Volcana at all from when you watched Superman the Answers way back when?
Very vaguely, very
Well, the
vaguely.
main reason I want to bring up Volcana is you want to know who voices Volcana?
Who?
Perry Gilpin. It's Roz from Frasier.
Roz. Oh dear. Oh god.
Yeah, so
All
doing
right.
kind of her sultry thing, as she basically the idea is, hey, Firefly's found a new woman to stalk, and that's Volcana since the new Batman adventures. That's a little bit of progress. Anyway, so Batman takes on Firefly with the grappling gun, some athletic leaps, and then he's like flying him on his back, and then basically flies him right into Volcana. Volcana's ticked off. Aren't you good for anything? Anyway, some cool Batman action going on there. Again, a lot of fighty beyond that. Let's see. They burn up all the oxygen once Green Lantern puts him in a little bubble, which is clever. Now, big important Batman plot point to get in here.
Mhm.
It's been 3 nights in a row with no sleep for the Batman.
Yes, and that is one thing that I really like that they kind of build up throughout the episode is like all the status of the Justice League members falling asleep. It's got a really dramatic cliffhanger to it. Maybe one of the better cliffhangers I've seen to a two-parter.
That's what I'm saying, because usually
outside of like Two-Face, obviously.
That's what I'm saying, T. Because when they usually do these, they're not really built. They kind of have to break it up, but it's like it's not really a thing you need it. They don't need like the.
But this one is dramatic, man. It's like, oh my god, like half the Justice League members are already asleep. Jesus Christ!
I know, I love it so much, though. I mean, they don't do that so often. It's usually like, okay, well, it happens to be a little dramatic. In this case, oh my god, no, it's absolutely dramatic.
Yeah.
Like the old days with the two-parters. Yes. Okay. So Dee's escaped. He left a lot of people really graphically disoriented. It seems like it did not tickle those ESP attack victims. And he's going after his wife and her new boyfriend. Batman suspects that this was D. And again, I like the investigative side of the Batman here, where Green Lantern's like, again, good old Phil Lamar as GL here is kind of like tossing. Well, the Grundy, Copperhead, and Luminous are out there. We should probably back him up. John D's he's a low level guy. No one's really going to care. Do you remember the Odyssey?
Oh god, that line was a little heavy-handed, Dragon, I gotta say.
What was it? He said nobody.
I mean, it was fun. It was fun exposition, but it was a little much. It was a little much.
I gotta tell you, it's like the cool factor of Conroy Batman laying out the Odyssey, because again, Batman is like if you're applying Greek myth to superheroes, Batman is absolutely it's the Odyssey. It's absolutely that.
Dragon, I just also want to point out this boyfriend character. I don't know why, but for some reason, I'm just in love with his design.
Me too.
Really? Okay.
I've always let me put it this way. His design was always memorable to me, and I always thought, man, I wonder what that guy's doing off to the side.
Dragon, what I love about his design is it feels like kind of like a 1950s working stiff.
Yeah, like he comes back like
that's the way I would describe him.
I mean, to me, here's the thing: I've always kind of felt like the design always popped to me, and then like rewatches, like, man, it looks a little like Jimmy Palmiotti. I kind of like that. But the comic artist, that guy, man, the comic. Yeah. Anyway, so anyways, real quick. So again, just I like the Odyssey story with the whole nobody thing. I thought that was kind of a cute moment. And Batman's put. Now I like how Green Lantern's receptive to it. Good point, well taken. Yeah, I didn't think of like who did this to you? Nobody. And so that's the guy's gonna take the gods down, which essentially is what happens this episode. So let's see. John D vindictively confronts his wife over her lack of conscience.
I love the shot of D looking at his wife and Mr. 9 to 5 over there, like just going inside, and he's just like, oh, son of a bitch.
The perfect name for Mr. 9 to 5.
What, Mr. 9 to 5?
Great.
I'm glad you appreciate that.
Oh no, I do. It's great. So
Okay.
anyway, so basically, this is where we get the namesake, where he changes his name to Destiny because he has big things in store for his Destiny. So then it becomes Dr. Destiny. He dons his new scary look, very Skeletor-esque, removes his face, and then we take this line always scared me to no end as a kid.
Oh God.
I saw this. Now that I'm a doctor, I think I'll perform some surgery. And then you cut away. It's like, oh God.
Would you say that kind of like triggered some of your surgery phobia that you have?
It's not the origin of it, but it definitely didn't help.
For sure.
But that's what I'm saying. Stuff like that, it's like, oh God.
Okay, we have some comments from
Sure.
Tong Beast. He says it's funny that Grundy leads Copperhead since we learned that Grundy used to be a mob boss.
Yeah.
Yes, and his name was Butch Gilzeem.
Well, in our hearts, yes. I mean, well, that and Cyrus Gold, but Cyrus Gold's better remembered name, Butch Gilzeem.
Right. Also, Dee's wife is voiced by Dorothy from Return to Oz.
That is cool. Yeah.
Did you know that?
I mean, I don't know the actress's name offhand,
That's
but yeah, I do. That's what I'm saying. They really
Dorothy dies here.
That's the thing. Tiki,
Yeah.
I mean, Andrea Romano, she cast like the wind, man. She cast the right people for the right roles, no matter how obscure or steeped in culture as they may be. All right, so after the surgery bit, let's see. Okay, so then we come back to we have the really scary moment beyond that, because I thought, oh god, it's just gonna be her scream, but no, it's even worse than that. We see her, like in basically a sleeping terror as the boyfriend tries to wake her up, and we see it's all in her mind, and he didn't even enter the house. He's doing it from like the woods outside the cabin.
Mm-hmm.
Scary. Okay, then we have some fight. You get what happens. Copperhead, Grundy, all that sort of stuff. But we set up. We get into a fight with Luminous. Who, by the way, Luminous, pretty cool. I think we're doing Luminous here because we couldn't get Mirror Master yet with the Flash. I think it's the main reason. Like, well, we set up Luminous and Superman the animated series. We might as well use them here. And we set up the claustrophobia thing with Hawkgirl, which is important.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And Superman saves her, which I was like, oh, don't feel bad.
You know what I love about part 2, just kind of jumping ahead, is that it's basically like John Dee basically becomes Pennywise because he's like digging into all of the Justice League members' biggest fears.
I mean, I would go with Freddy Krueger, but you're not wrong. That definitely would fit.
No, it's definitely more Pennywise. Yeah, Freddy Krueger with the dream thing, but I feel like his MO is more Pennywise.
Well, you're right about that. I'm saying in terms of how he acts in the dreams, Pennywise for sure. But I'm saying like the whole the threat of Nightmare on Elm Street is there. Like if you fall asleep.
Certainly.
Like that's anyway.
All right, so there's some fighty fight, McFighty fight going on.
Let's see. We have a fun gag where Hawkgirl flies Copperhead up, where he, like an idiot, he thinks he's going to take her hostage to fly him as a getaway. He says like, "Well, yeah, you bite me, it's a 40-story drop." And then Green Lantern says, "Well, you have to worry about that if you do anything to her, because he's going to that's the woman I love, sucker. I'm going to blast you off." Okay, let's see. So we see some shades of Phantasm as Batman's looking into the John Dee matter.
Mm-hmm.
Batman checks in on John Dee's wife in the hospital, and basically, we have our hospital patient in a panic, kind of like Arthur Reeves and Phantasm. Only she doesn't wake up.
So one thing I do want to point out about the fighty fight stuff is I do like the Grundy versus Martian Manhunter fight.
Oh yeah, we get again. This is the cool thing where this episode we actually allow the Martian Manhunter to actually fight people instead of getting knocked out all the time.
Right, really
cool. Which I love it when we do.
I also like Flash fighting, fighting all the different variations.
And again, that's Luminous. Again, that makes, because the Flash fights him like that, it really makes me. They really wanted Mirror Master. But
it is a cool fight. I'll give him that. Like he's a very, very D tier villain, I think, but it's a cool fight.
Actually, Luminous, if I recall, an original villain for Superman the Animated Series.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, remember, I'm pretty sure about that. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they kind of did like, I think you'd love that. Again, going back to an answer, you'd love that too, where they do like a Mysterio thing with them.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Batman's asking, now this is a really cool thing with Batman's progression and the whole Martian Manhunter friendship of it all here, where Batman's in the hospital and he's investigating with tools that he did not have pre-Justice League, where he's asking his friend, the Martian Manhunter, to read her mind so he can find out what's going on there, who attacked her and everything. Again, use some new investigative tools at his disposal. So let's see. So then basically we set up that. Well, later on, we're going to set that pretty much there's kind of a ticking clock thing at play here, where if they don't wake up at a certain amount of time, they're going to flatline. But we're kind of showing that there's no he can't really he got to read on it was John D and everything, so he's got proof of that. So one by one, the Justice League falls asleep. Basically, as Martian Manhunter is laying out what he's found out about this, like once she falls asleep, she's in kind of like a perpetual state of terror. One by one, the JL falls asleep. Hawkgirl and the Flash. Let's see. So we have Green Lantern at his home. And again, I like the little foreshadows, like Green Lantern's at home in his neighborhood, which is going to permeate into his dream. We're in Clark Kent's apartment. We see the glasses on the table and everything, the dual identity. You know, that's getting in there too. And just as we said, great ending to part one. They're all asleep and at Dr. Destiny's mercy, and we hear that chilling Atherton laugh, man. Oh, God, so scary.
So, Dragon, I think the issue that I'm having audio-wise is just because I'm in that spot with very little internet. So, I'm gonna try to change that situation around a little bit. So, in the meantime, do you think you could plug our other Batman-related thing that we're doing concurrently with this, really quick?
You mean the thing we're doing tomorrow?
The Joker blogs,
right? Yes, so folks, in case you're not watching, you're not aware, the anime Batcave does have a spin-off. We did the anime Batcave to prepare Tiki for the Joker blogs, which is a YouTube series by Scott McClure and Andrew DeVary. Essentially, it's a show that basically it's kind of the same premise as Batcave, where I'm showing Tiki them for the first time, kind of knowing where it goes. And basically, it's like, what if you had someone perfectly replicate the Heath Ledger Joker to the point of like it's practically canonized? As in, okay, this is what happens after the Dark Knight. What, dear God, if we could have like a miracle of seeing what Heath Ledger continuing his work in the Nolanverse would have been like, it would be this show. So that's kind of what we've been doing, and that's probably we pre-record that, so that's going to probably go up a different day this week. So keep your eyes peeled. We're almost to the end of kind of the first major arc, let's call it. So we have at least I'm going to botch the numbers here, but just go with me on it. We have at least 15, I'd say 15 episodes, maybe 14 episodes so far, and you can find that on the channel. Yeah, it's great. I recommend it. Again, it was the first spin-off that we've gotten from this from the animated Batcave. So there you go.
All right, Dragon, I'm going to run my notes on my phone, and I think not switching between tabs will help us with the audio issues. I'm just hoping that the audio issues don't show up on the podcast itself, and it's just an issue on my end. So, all right, let's go ahead and transition right into part two.
Okay, part two. The Flash. We start with the Flash's dream. So Flash is hanging out with the kids.
This is fucking ridiculous, Dragon.
This is hilarious.
It really is. It's almost like, dare I say, it's Rick and Morty-esque a little bit.
A little bit. You know what's funny? I'd like to think later on we see, I think it says Flash HQ. I don't know if this is like actually in the DCA, like this is where the Flash's secret base is when he's not on the Watchtower. I'd love the idea that's his base, where it's kind of a place where he hangs out with the kids and just people kind of come in like, hey, how can I help you? It's adorable to me. I love that. Anyway, so Flash is hanging out with the kids, which is nice because, Flash is always like, we learned during the Christmas episode, he visits the kids and he tries to help the less fortunate and everything. He's a good role model. He's mischievous. He's watching a cartoon adventure of him fighting Solomon Grundy. And they're both overly buff and cartoony, and we're playing with cartoony physics.
And we're going to get that overly buff style. Dragon, the style is like a little bit Butch Hartman-esque.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah,
just with the buff, just how buff he draws superheroes.
Oh, for sure. And that's, again, then we have the Flash. It's this Michael Rosenbaum. I love him as the Flash so much. Everyone goes to, Rosenbaum is Luthor. It's great. Yeah, but him as the Flash, pitch perfect. So when he's the Flash, he has this great line of like, "Take that, you cur."
You cur.
And then it becomes this great runner in the dream of like, "Hey, Uncle Flash, what's a cur? It's a bad person." Well, why don't you just say that? We have this kid voiced by, I'm sure, someone you recognize, Tiki.
Oh God, who?
Jason Marsden.
Oh yeah, of course.
Max Goof. So we have
Classic 90s voice actor.
and usually Snapper Carr, the Justice League's Jimmy Olsen in the show.
Uh-huh.
So, and they kind of do less and less of him as it goes on. So that's why they kind of work him in like in bit parts now in season 2.
So Dragon, this kid's hungry.
Yes, the kid's hungry, so Flash goes to the fridge, and Tiki, what's in the fridge?
Just a big ol' anthropomorphic frog.
Looks a little like the WB frog without
it does. I was gonna say he might as well just be singing "Hello, my baby, hello, my honey."
So Flash closes the fridge and says, "Well, where's my food? Are you French? No, there's no food." So then, of course, the kids turn the man-eaters and attack the Flash. He runs away. And
then your leg will do.
So the Flash picked the wrong time to run away, because as he runs away, he ran so fast, he basically entered what we now on the CW call Flash time. Let's just call it, he ran so fast. Everything else is in slow motion. The fundamental fear here being...
this is where the Pennywise shit kind of starts.
Exactly. So the fear here being you move so fast, you're missing out on life itself. So Dr. Destiny... as Bill,
very dramatic part of Adam Sandler's Click.
Yes. I'll tell you, T, again, Bill Atherton.
Mark joking David Hasselhoff's face dying.
God, of course, it's so frustrating.
Sorry.
Well, we have that movie. Also have like some beautiful scene with Henry Winkler, but no one ever talks about that. That quarter scene will break hearts and minds. But anyway.
Oh God. All right. Anyway.
Okay. So Bill Atherton, man, I know I keep going back to him, but seriously, the fact
he's great, Dragon. He steals the show for sure, by all means.
It's just the fact that this guy, in his roles all the time, he plays characters that never have any power. So giving him all the power is so refreshing and twisted. So he just rubs it into the Flash. And I like that he has kind of a different dynamic with everyone as he rubs it in with the Flash. He's just really like treating him like, hey, I could keep you company, but I'm not gonna. So anyway, so we have like the cool factor of Dr. Destiny as a Justice League villain. He doesn't have to physically beat the Justice League. He's in their minds and he's just gloating and just basically saying, this is what you're afraid of. I don't have to lift a finger to stop you. You went too fast and you'll never be able to slow down again. And then the Flash...
so Flash just basically goes into existential crisis mode.
Yes, and the color dissipates and everything is like complete slow-mo, and the lighthearted Flash. Apparently, we learn, this is kind of a cool layer to the Flash, I believe they give us for the first time in the animated stuff, is that the Flash, he's had this nightmare since his origin story that we're never going to see, just to let you know. But the fact that we don't need the origin, you get struck by lightning, you get it. So, the point being, this has been his nightmare since his origin story, apparently, ever since he got his speed. And unfortunately, there are no Swedish bikini teams or wake-up calls to get him out of this. And I like, this. I know you love this sort of thing, Teak. We have like the dream correlation where Batman calling on the phone is kind of what you have in the background of these dreams. You hear phones ringing and the alarms going off. It's Batman trying to call and save him and warn him, but it's too late.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool, like, Inception-style shit going on in this episode.
Yeah. Okay, so the Manhunter, we learn he can't bring him out of the delusion. He can't bring Penny, the wife, out of the delusion here. So Batman's calling the others. He's having no luck. Then we go to the most horrifying part of the whole episode.
Yeah, Superman's asleep, and over his message machine, Batman's calling like, I'll be over in a few minutes. Whatever you do, don't go to sleep.
So... we see Superman's nightmare, which is utterly
this
horrifying.
Is horrifying, man. This is another just Pennywise shit right here.
So, Tiki, in the DCAU, they never, confirmed this, but to me, the vibe I always got, just overall, with all the Superman stuff in the animated series, especially with stuff we're going to do. Honestly, all the stuff we do in Justice League Season 2 kind of cements this for me. Superman, of all of his powers, the power Superman likes to use least is his heat vision. And I suspect mainly for this nightmare. I've always loved that idea with Superman, that he doesn't like using the heat vision because it is too powerful, and if it's not controlled, it basically becomes Cyclops. It's a nightmare. So
as in he is not the Zack Snyder Superman Dragon.
Exactly.
That's what you're saying.
That is exactly what I'm saying. So we see Superman's fear, and this is a great fear. It makes all the sense in the world. His fear is that he'll be unable to control his powers while on a date with Lois Lane. So we see his heat vision coming out. Basically, like he's burning through his glasses, and then his menu, and then his glasses, and Lois, like, oh God, what if Lois were actually on to him after this? Something this egregious happened.
I love how it's like layers upon layers of nightmare, because it's like, what if Lois found out and was on to him? And then also, what if there was a freak accident with his heat vision that straight up fucking killed Lois?
Like, oh my, I remember watching the, oh my God, we find Lois Lane alive. Dear God.
Now, if it was Amy Adams Lois Lane, yeah.
Well, we did that in the Snyder Cut, technically.
Yeah.
Anyway, other than being petty to Amy Adams.
I love Amy Adams and other things. I just thought that was she could have been a good Lois Lane. I just think she wasn't trying.
All right, anyway. Okay, the point being, you know what's funny though, Teague? When they boarded this, it was a lot darker. You know what happened in the boards?
What?
You saw a quick flash of Lois's skeleton.
Oh God! Oh man, I'm glad we didn't see that.
Like we saw when Superman was getting tortured, you saw like the skeleton outline, and it was like, oh God. Anyway, so she pulls his hand away, like saying, "We are hiding something from you." Bam! Fries Lois. You cut the Superman's horrified reactions. He breaks his glasses, and he's having some night terrors. Like, oh God, poor Superman! No.
Yeah, I love the animation on Superman, just like flailing around in bed. He looks so helpless.
I know. So then we have Green Lantern's fear, which I gotta tell you, this is a really cool, heady fear for Green Lantern. It's a really good systematic thing. I like the
it's basically like his fear is being alien in his own community, right?
Exactly. It's kind of fear of losing the whole sell of the John Stewart Green Lantern is that this is like the one Green Lantern that doesn't have a secret identity. You know, he doesn't really hide, so he's very tied into his community and stuff. Or he's losing his identity to a cause. Basically losing his humanity to that. Where basically he approaches Chris from the basically we saw like the neighbor kid, like the I believe the neighbor barber and or coach from his high school days. I forget exactly who he was, but the point being, some of the characters from the Blackest Night Green Lantern episode in season 1, they stop by and he's speaking gibberish to him because again alien language that he's no longer he's no longer basically he's no longer a human. He's more alien, patrolling the universe and the stars and everything and doing his Justice League stuff than he was back when before he got the ring. All the signs, too, a little perchance the dream nod, I'm sure. A little like all the alien language and the backwards kind of dream logic on the words. Okay, so we have that going on there. Also, I love the green eyes and everything, too. And he basically becomes a living Green Lantern where the energy is bursting out of him, like this green pulsating energy, and it's kind of terrifying. Okay, meanwhile, Batman's not having any luck because a building can fall on Superman. He'd not feel it, so that's not good. Like giving him stimulants, it ain't going to cut the mustard.
I really like that logic.
Oh, yeah. So Batman, he goes... so let's see. So Batman goes after the vulnerable physical John D. as the Martian Manhunter, goes after... basically tries to help him in the mindscape.
And I really like those two, kind of final battles happening concurrently. I think that's really smart writing.
I mean, structurally, Tiki is just so darn good, man. Like, we give them both something to do, and then that moves the plot forward, and then they correlate and they communicate with each other. It's great.
Sure.
So, and then
right, meanwhile, Hawkgirl.
Oh, I'm sorry, real quick. This is the one where we get the big stakes, Tiki. So,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Our stakes are set up here. So Batman's going after John D. as the Manhunter's going to go inside the mines. Batman's going to have to improvise once he gets to John D. because he'll be really psychically strong. And the big stake is Batman's on 3 days with no sleep. If he nods off, he's next. But Batman's used to
some Starbucks triple shots. He'll be fine.
Batman's used to late nights, and we'll see if that coffee's going to do the trick. So we'll get there. Meanwhile, Hawkgirl, yes.
All right.
So Hawkgirl, yes, as the Tom Beast is alluding to here. I'm so glad he brought this up. So you'll notice Hawkgirl, she's aware that she's being attacked by Dr. Destiny. There's a reason for that, Tiki. Thanagarians are kind of immune to telepathy, which is why the Martian Manhunter can't break through her barrier at the end. And that's, again, a big foreshadow for the star-crossed of it all, which, you know how that goes. So, so as the Tom Beast says, I don't think Hawkgirl's fear is claustrophobia, and it's something else. And, again, I think it's a little bit of both. But primarily, the fact that her friends probably wouldn't be able to save her at the end because of the claustrophobia. A little bit of both. you know, you have wings, you're going to be used to open spaces. So if you're, it made sense to me, her being claustrophobic too. Anyway, so she thinks, hey, Flash, what's going on? What? And then Martian Manhunter morphs into Dr. Destiny. I like the fact that it was the Martian Manhunter because the one person she's afraid of is the person who's kind of like asked about her past in the other episode. Like, hey, what's, maybe we could help find your plan. Like, oh no, let's not worry about that. No, let's and the one guy that could be on to her and expose her is the guy who turns into the villain. I think that's interesting with the dream logic.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so anyways, again, a lot of foreshadowing there. She becomes buried alive. Meanwhile, Martian Manhunter, he let's see, he tries going into he reports in the Batman that he found out Penny's dead, and these are the stakes for the Justice League. And again, the folk taking this is like a moment where it's like, we're on a big boy network. We just killed off the wife.
Oh God.
We're on Cartoon Network. You know, we're on Toonami, darn it. You know, we're on the big boys network now.
Uh-huh.
We can kill off the wife off screen. Okay, so let's see. Martian Manhunter's taking the risk. He's going inside. Do what you have to. Then we have the Superman moment, which is about to bring me to tears once we break it down. Okay, so
I love how this starts with it's just so crazy, Dragon. Just like first of all, the design, just the giant kind of like inflated arms,
This is a full Frank Miller. This is more like Dark Knight Strikes Again, Frank Miller.
It really is. Yeah,
Miller,
yeah.
Nonetheless, it's like the
it's so like Dragon, I don't know if this kid is actually Jimmy Olsen.
That is Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah. It is Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, I said Jimmy, my pal. It's Jimmy Olsen. You don't have to worry about the Snyder thing. It's him.
And he's like going in for a hug, Dragon. He's going in for a hug.
Now, Tika, this is what kills me. Okay, there's like a whole episode of Superman the Answers called Superman's Power. They legitimize the whole. Okay, this is why Jimmy Olsen's Superman's pal. So they go as far as Superman saying, "Jimmy, my pal." And
God.
So him saying
and so the hug just instantly kills poor Jimmy Olsen, Dragon.
Breaks his back.
I mean, Jesus Christ.
Also, you'll notice Perry White was killed in the foreground.
I did notice that, yeah.
So again, the idea his nightmare has gotten exceedingly worse, and just again they see the power thing. It's not just the heat vision; he's gotten too powerful. And again, Tika, file this away about Superman feeling that this is his worst nightmare, living in a world that's very vulnerable to him with his powers growing.
Dragon, it's pretty hardcore. I'm not gonna lie.
So file that away. That might be important way down the line.
All right.
Anyway, yes. So after killing Jimmy Olsen, what George Newbern does here, also with that whole Jimmy, my pal, just breaks my heart. Anyway, so. This is where I'm going to need to break out the tissue boxes. I did not expect rewatching the episode. So the Martian Manhunter comes to help Superman and he says, like, you'll handle it. I know you. And then he chases him down to Smallville, and you see this really beautiful image of Superman afraid, curled up in his spaceship in the barn in Smallville. He's just so darn vulnerable, yet being the most powerful being he's ever been right now. And Carl Lumbly just like taking the power away, and like, I can help you if you let me, and he takes the power away. Dr. Destiny's kind of doubting it, and you just have this moment is what got me. There's a big swell of power. It's like, oh no, did it work? Did it not work? And this man has been blasted to like the outer frame. Superman gives his buddy a hand. Like the two guys that founded the Justice League, Superman and Martian Manhunter, they completed the Justice League. He helps him up. Let's finish this. Like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. The Martian Manhunter being friends with Superman is always tickles my. I don't know. Between Batman and Superman being friends with the Martian Manhunter, it's always touched me. Just the fact that Manhunter, helped Superman through his problem. It was like a beautiful, like triumphant, like thanks for getting me out of that. We're going on. Yeah. Okay. So Batman's having some trouble.
Yeah, man, the caffeine isn't working, Dragon.
Yes, we see.
I love how Dr. D literally just calls out like, "Oh, the adrenaline's wearing off."
Yes. So, I mean, also, leading up to that, the Batmobile too. Like we had like this thing where it's like he swerved. He needs that caffeine badly. You see, it's starting to wear on Batman, where like he basically almost hit another car on like the highway.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not a good look.
By the way, when he swerved to avoid that car and you saw Dr. Destiny and standing in the middle of the road, I think that's a nod to Dreams in Darkness, where he almost hit Robin when he has in the fear toxin in his system and he ended up crashing into Arkham.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Batman's growing tired. And as it goes on, he finds out the clue. And what's not helping him, I'm sure, is listening to essentially like an audiobook while you're driving with the whole backstory on John Dee. Like, he was a LexCorp employee. He was the most, which I mean, unless you're Batman, could be a very mind-numbing thing. He has a harbor warehouse. You know, that's where he gets the lead from. Anyway, so Green Lantern, meanwhile, we see, we restore the faith in John. Their faith is in John Stewart, not the Ring, and he kind of saves their bacon as they're all teaming up to fight Dr. Destiny. They save, John Stewart, finds his inner confidence. Meanwhile, we have the great Batman moment of the episode.
All right, here we go. So, yeah, I mean, Dragon, I feel like this is once again kind of a situation where it's like, Batman's been a little bit more prominent than he was in the last episode we covered, where literally we covered it just for, the one moment with him and Superman. But, this is great, man. So basically, it's like Batman is in with John Dee. And,
I'm sorry, real quick. I'm taking, we're not there yet. I'll let you know. We're almost there.
God damn it! I'm sorry.
Sorry, it's real quick. I hit. This is where we actually hit the coffee in the windshield bit. I got to hit.
This, okay.
But then we get to the. You're right, though. That's perfect, though. So as Batman's starting to drift off, Dr. Destiny's, the doctor will see you now. He says, it's that's gonna. I'm sorry. I'm jumping a little forward after. I jumped to after the coffee. Anyways, he goes in there, gets the coffee, and he's like, "Give me a triple now." It's like Batman dramatically ordering coffee, and what's just in the middle, like just entering a coffee shop. It's just so out of place, and everyone giving him a look like, "Oh my God, Batman's here!" And you see how dire the situation is, where Batman doesn't have time to worry about. He can't do the whole New Year's thing with Commissioner Gordon right now. No, there's no time for that. I got to go in there and get like a triple shot of Starbucks. God. I always thought it was just straight Starbucks, but it says coffee shop, apparently. Anyway, so he gets the triple shot of caffeine, which then wears off, and then as he drifts off, this is where we get the money shot for our image too, where he says like, the doctor will see, I'm gonna have to change that. He just punches out the windshield. I have to cancel that appointment. He punches out the windshield and he turns up the tunes. And what are the tunes?
It's basically Fair and Jaka, right?
Yeah, it's like it's funny. It's Frere Jacques. What they did take is really clever. It's the English translation. It's a parody of the English translation of Frere Jacques. I think made to be like an eat at John's, and Frere Jacques,
right?
Frere Jacques in English.
This is like some Inception shit, Dragon. It very much reminds me of how in the opening scene they use the opera music.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. In English, Frere Jacques means it's talking about like going to sleep and everything. So that's the irony of it, which is kind of clever. Apparently, I had no idea until getting into this episode. Oh my God, really? That's what Frere Jacques means in English? Like that. It's like wake up, Jack. Go to sleep, Jack. It's like it's talking about the Jacques being Jack. All right, okay, so let's see. Flash looks within himself. He gets, they kind of wake him up. He kind of meditates, and Dr. Destiny's just kind of mocking him. And then we see the danger of Hawkgirl. Hawkgirl, because of her barrier, they can't get through to her, and she's about to flatline. So the danger is scale up. So then, as the Justice League is basically fighting like a kaiju version of Dr. Destiny, on the inside, we have Batman on the outside finding the physical John Dee. And this is where we have the sequence, man. Go for it.
Yeah, this is great. It's basically just like, Batman's humming that song as Dr. Destiny. He's desperately like trying to still hide behind that persona, that Skeletor look. But Batman ain't having that shit, man. He goes straight for the actual Dr. Dee and, confronts him. And it's great.
I love so when he goes into like the dilapidated bathroom of this LexCorp warehouse, I love just visually how we're presenting everything, and like very kind of almost Nightmare on Elm Street, or like I guess Pennywise-esque if you'd like, where he's in the reflection but he's not in the bathroom, and he's teeing up like, because you're physically closer to me, I don't even have, because it's like the wife, because you're closer to me, I don't even have to wait till you're asleep. I can just project it onto I can get into your mind. All right, my mind's not a nice place to be. I love how Batman's not scared at all by this guy. He's just waiting to get to him. He's like, Batman's so calm, cool, and collected in this scene. It's awesome. Where he's humming that song to block him out, because of course the Batman, he's globetrot, he's learned all the mental kind of defenses. He's good. He knows exactly what he's doing. I'm humming this song so he can't get through. So as he's singing, we have like the Escher steps, that I'm sure maybe kind of a symbolic precursor to Christopher Nolan and Batman's history together, one could argue.
Right.
So I love this. John D, you can tell he's getting scared by Batman here, which is just great given all the fear that Dr. Destiny is doling out here. Where he's saying, hey, look, he tries to bargain with him, like, you don't have powers. I don't have anything against you. You and I were the same. You don't have powers. I do have one
And that's
power.
exactly why Batman can defeat him in the first place, man, because he's the world's goddamn greatest detective, and that's his power.
By God, Kevin Conroy has like one of the Batman lines in this episode, which is just like sums up why I love the guy. I have one power, Johnny. I never give up. It's like, yes, it's everything I love about that guy. He doesn't give up. Yes. So then he eventually finds Johnny, and he has this great like taunt to him.
Oh, by the way, I love that he's just keeps calling him Johnny throughout the sequence. That's great. Yeah.
Yes. Like, what do you say? Because he just wants to end this, because there is a time factor at play. He's trying to help his friend. So he's like, what do you say, Johnny? Want to go one-on-one? It'll give you something to brag about. It's great. All right, so let's see. Then we have the jump scare attack. Oh God, he's basically, so John D is armed with like kind of like, I don't know if it's like actually called Ecane or what, or with the labels obscure. Basically, a major kind of comatose sedative that he's trying to inject Batman with, so he can fully get into his mind and end this. But dear God, when he attacks Batman, it's a big jump scare already. But then Batman, he ain't having it. I love Batman's solution to this. If I can punch him, I can see the real guy. Just keeps punching him.
Right, yeah.
So he sees John D, and he kind of like throws him back, and D injects himself, which again also is a kid horrifying. Oh God, he injected himself. We've never seen this in cartoons. No, oh dear God. Like by accident, an accidental. Like anyway. So he's knocked out. Sweet dreams. Meanwhile, Hawkgirl, she comes to, and we have our cutesy ending here where Hawkgirl comes to, and Batman, he's well rested. My God, did he earn it? The Dark Knight earned the sleep right there,
Yeah.
And then we have the John D thing at the end, where John D is how haunting was this man? He's just catatonic, humming Frere Jacques. Yeah. All right, real quick, we have some Atomic Beast comments, and we'll round things up. Oh, okay, yeah, so it says, I think Hawkgirl's fear is whether or not to choose between the League or people, so when you see the walls closing in on her, might represent how she feels the final episode is coming closer. That's a good read on Atomic Beast. Entirely possible. Okay, so final thoughts for me. I think it's a great episode. Not only like an episode that lets Batman shine, but explores the psychology of the Justice League and lets us get to know him better, which is kind of the point of it all. Where I love the Manhunter and Batman saving the day. Bill Atherton, he's just chilling as Dr. Destiny, a lot of fun. Also, I'm going to throw this Justice League villain under the bus. Eclipso, he's so lame in comparison compared to how we visualize Dr. Destiny and how cool it is when he gets in people's minds and does his thing. All right, so yeah.
Also, from Atomic Beast, we have imagine if you're at a Starbucks and all of a sudden Batman shows up and orders coffee. Best promotion ever.
That would be. Dear God.
Dragon, believe it or not, the one time I saw Petaluma Batman, it was, ironically enough, outside of a Starbucks.
Really?
I'm not even kidding about that.
Cool.
So, yeah, there is some correlation there. Final thoughts for me, Dragon. I don't know. I like it quite a bit. I do. I don't think it's like the best episode of Justice League ever or anything, but I do think all the Batman stuff is really freaking cool, and just, the dream shenanigans in general. And it's great to see an iconic Sandman villain in this universe. Really cool. So,
yeah.
All right, Dragon, what's up next?
Chaos in Kaznia. Batman facing another immortal foe. Wonderbat's wedding crashing. Can one princess save another, or will Kaznia fall prey to a savage coup? Tune in next time to find out. Same animated bat time, same animated bat place.
On the next visit to the animated Batcave with Maid of Honor. Mhm.